Hi, I'm Kimball Sargent, and I've been with Nikin for 14 years. And outside of my Nikin life, I am a nurse psychotherapist. I've been in private practice for 25 years now. And so when I went with Nikin, being able to manage time and balance two businesses was always a challenge. And so I'm going to share with you today the things that I do. And I think one of the most important things for me is that you need to know your intention and your why. And you need to utilize that every day because that will be the driving force that helps you stay focused on what you want to achieve. So my work starts every morning with when I get up. And the first thing that I do is I get out a book and I write in it my goals that I want to achieve. And I've got the same book. And this is something, if you've been through Humans Being More, which is a fabulous personal development training that Nikin has. And so you write the goals each day. So I write those down first thing. And that has me in tune with why I want to do what I'm going to do today. And then I have a life cycle plan, which I pick up and I look at the life cycle plan and I see the pictorial representation of all the things that I want to have in my future. And looking at those, I have the right mindset. Now, what I do besides that is rather than being focused on the outcome of what I want to happen in Nikin, I focus on the task. For me, this is 5, 5, and 5. Each day, I make 5 telephone contacts. I make 5 text contacts. I make 5 email contacts, and I send out 5 thank you notes. Sometimes those are handwritten, and sometimes those are email. I really like the handwritten because I think that gives another touch. But by doing this, every single week, I have got a steady flow of people being contacted. Now, what I use to send out my emails is something called OutConnect, which also has a text feature called Outstand. So when each of my emails are very pretty. I always use my own pictures, and I think a lot of times people open them up just to see what they look like. Well, that's a good thing because if they open it up, then they see what I have to say. And then with using that program, I'm able to monitor if they're clicking on links or what they're doing. If they haven't opened, there is an Outstand on my phone so that I can go through there and send a text. And when I send that text, the person, all they have to do is to click onto that a link that's text out, and it opens the email for them. So on most of my emails, I will come up somewhere between a 30 and 60% open rate. And that's really helpful because one of the things we're all challenged with is there's lots of shiny things out there, and it's getting people to see what's going on. In this past year for me, just that activity has brought me a new silver who has someone under her just about to go silver. It has brought me 2 or 3 new consultants, and I got a call the other night late, one of my consultants who dropped off plans to sign back up. So measuring all of this and monitoring it's very important. Now, some people will just use a contact management system. That email system I use along with a sheet I've got. And if anybody's interested in it, I'm happy to send it along because I'm somebody that I keep up with all of my appointments in my phone. If my phone is gone tomorrow, I'll be in a bad way. But I do have all of my people and what I've done with them. This sheet was developed by a friend of mine who has been a commissioned salesperson for his entire life, and he's a few years older than I am and pretty daggone successful. And on this, I just keep up with the person's name, their email, their mailing address, their telephone number, and then there's something called group, and that group is how I keep them in a group in my OutConnect. And then there's priority A, B, C. So it's A is someone I've met personally. B would be a referral. C might somebody I know about. But what is so cool is on here, there's 6 months worth of calendar. So in 6 months, I go to another place. But I monitor everything that I do with the person. So in one sheet, I'm looking at this, and there's little numbers like enjoyed meeting you, thank you, invitation, touch base. There are all these different numbers that I put into the calendar. So I know exactly what's already been done with the person, plus I know what the next contact is going to be. There are only 3 reasons that people do business with us, and that is know, like, and trust. So there's a lot of connecting with people and massaging that relationship. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There is a lot of panic in this country. If you don't believe it, just talk to someone who does psychotherapy. Business is good. People are very worried about what's going to happen, and they want to know that you are interested in them, that you are connecting with them. Sometimes for telephone calls, the calls that I'm making aren't anything except, I was just thinking about you and wondering what's going on, because you are massaging and you are creating the relationship. As a therapist, I'm a family therapist, but I've always been solution focused. I deal in hypnotherapy and NLP and short-term work. And so what we're looking at is to identify the problem that the person has and help them create a solution. Well, good salespeople do the exact same thing. You are searching for a problem that the person has and then helping them solve it. Many times I help people solve problems that I don't have the resource for. But when I do that, I have just really improved the trust and the friendship piece there. And so they're more likely to refer me or to use me. Now, the other cool thing I like about this is I use the back of these sheets to take all of my notes. Now, some people will tell you about contact management systems that they use that all pop up on their computer. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, like I said. I do the things online, but it's very, very important to me to have the paper piece that I can utilize as well. Now, you got to set your goals, and you got to monitor each week what you've done. I also keep a spreadsheet in my computer, and each day I'm checking off if I do my 5, 5, and 5. I keep up with if I sign up a new consultant or if I sign up a new customer, and then once a week I record in there what my personal sales are, what my group sales are, what my organizational sales are, and then I keep up with where the retail sales are. Because in following all of this, I have my goals. This year, my goal is to reach a new level in Nikken, the platinum level. But I would also like to earn Tai Chi. And if I am able to go platinum in a month, then the likelihood of my Tai Chi is very good. So every month, I'm monitoring all of this. So it's really a matter of just looking at these things and doing the right things. Last year, my goal was to make Team Kaizen. And I had a lot of things going on in my other business, and I got behind. But I'll tell you, by using this system between October and December, I made my goal, and I made Kaizen. In December, I think I had over 15,000 personal group volume points. But I wasn't as focused on that number or any of the numbers each of those months as I was just on getting the work done each and every day. So I would suggest that you may need a different system. The system that works for you is the right one, but you need to develop the system, and the items that I talk about are the ones that I would highly recommend you use in monitoring to reach your goal.
Mary Bowser, Platinum Nikken Independent Consultant, and I was a teacher and then a professor, and somewhere along the line became a Nikken consultant because the products put me back on my feet. And I've learned through teaching to be organized and to plan, and that's what's kept me going. I'd like to share with you today one of the spreadsheets that I have that helps me keep track of my contacts. Because as a part-timer in the business, as Kimball has already said, you need to keep organized. And you've got contacts in your other life, and then you have contacts in your business life. So what I'd like to do is share the screen and show you the kinds of things that I'm doing. For all of the contacts that I make in the business, I keep notes on their last name, first name, phone, and email, and then how we met or how I know them, the date of first contacted them, and then other information that I might pick up during that or contact information. And with you never know. Sometimes some of these details are their expressed wishes. And so I sort of keep track of all of the things that they're saying for themselves, for their family, or for others, so that I can come back to that if the situation arises. The Leo LeMay system is an email-centered series of emails that consultants can customize and then send out to contacts as a follow-up procedure to have the recipients gain information about the Nikken products, and through them and the selected videos that are embedded, they would learn more about the products and the business. And as you move a contact, so you have the same last name, first name, phone, and email, but as you move the contacts through the different emails, all the way through, there's a series of 9 emails. You can keep track of the dates that you've sent the emails. And I have these columns formatted so that what is in this particular column is a date, and I have it formatted just for that. You'll notice that when you get to the column H, it says breakfast. And there is an option when regular times exist to meet it for the local contacts or customers, the regional contacts, let's even say, for them to meet at breakfast at a restaurant to experience the demonstrations firsthand. However, in times like these and other times when someone is farther away, you have to have it be at a distance. And so the LeMay system provides a 4th email with these enough of the product demonstrations embedded, and so that they would see what the key products are like and be able to go from there. At any time when a contact becomes a customer, I transfer them over to this sheet. Notice that the first 4 columns are the same on all of the sheets. So I would just copy the contact's last name, first name, I'd copy the cells. And so I would get this information, that I would make a copy, and then I would paste it over here into the customers. It's really simple to do. I would also make notes after they become a customer of their ID number, of password if they share that with me, their address, city, state, and zip, so I could send mail outs. And then I keep track of the order dates, their first order, or usually it's right then when I make that, they come over to be a customer. I also have set up columns here to keep track of the different items that they purchase in each of the different areas, whether it's in the magnetics or the sleep filters that they need for water, if they purchase the water systems or air systems, nutrition. I also keep track of their birthday when I find that out, and any other details about their family, when they go on auto ship. And then any other information that I pull from the contacts from this sheet, any other information, I'm able to go back over here and add it in other information. And because it's a spreadsheet, this goes out for infinity almost. So you can copy over a lot of information. I also have on the contact sheet, you'll notice this decision column, and it's also on the LeMay system. I have a decision column right here. And on these, I note their decision, whether they become a customer, they tell me never, or they say not now, or they say maybe call me in 6 months or whatever. And I make that notation there. I also note any referrals that contacts give me that's on both of these sheets, either the contacts through just regular contacts other than through the LeMay system. But I keep track of the referrals that they've made, the names, because I also reward any of my contacts for the referrals that they give me. The system helps me keep a track of the different methods. For example, here in the how I met them or where I know them, I do vendor activities each month. And my plan aside from just casual contacts or other types of contacts, is to do one vendor type of activity each month. And that way, when I want to know who I met where, I can see whether that particular opportunity or that activity or that particular location was very fruitful or not. I also can sort the data so that here, any of the column headers, I can sort to figure out certain things. I can sort by dates of contact. I can sort by how we met. And to do that, I would come up here to, first I would highlight the particular spreadsheet, and then I would come up into the format that says data. And on the data, I would do a sort. On my computer, it's being hidden by the controls that work for the Zoom. But anyway, there you can set up how the sort works. And so if it's textual data like this would be, it would sort alphabetically. And if it's numbers, as the date would be, it would sort numerically. And this way I can easily find out who I met if I wanted to contact people by that means. On the customers, I can do a sort by address, city, state. So if I'm traveling to a particular state, I can sort according to that state, and I can invite my customers to come to a meeting where I'll be, or a central location. I can also highlight all of the emails at one time and then send out emails either sorted in particular groups or by, again, the state or how I met them. If I'm coming back to, like, we have a community wellness festival every year in our area, and so I would highlight the contacts that I made last year and say, come by the booth for a particular thing if I'm working on a particular technology at the time, or I'll say come by for a special gift as a thank you gift. So it just, and I also asked them to bring a friend. So anyway, I can also highlight those in the highlighting of the emails. When I send this like a bulk email to different people, what I would do is put it in the BCC or blind copy. And with that, keep the email information private from other customers that I'm sending at the same time. That's all.
Hi, I'm Sherry Danzig. I'm a platinum consultant, and I've been with Niken for, goodness, it's been about 22 years. So I have truthfully used different systems over the years. I've used something kind of similar to what Mary has done, although I'm not very good with spreadsheets. But I have actually, copies of who I've talked to, 10 years ago. So I save everything. My latest focus has been, though, to keep myself organized with time management, has been finally to use a CRM, which is a contact relationship manager. And so I think the important thing is that everybody has to figure out what feels good for them. There was a time when I only used a paper, wrote everything down and had my day timer. Then I switched over to my phone and everything went on my phone. And then I realized that's not working for me so much. So now I've kind of moved back to having a paper day timer. But I use the CRM as an electronic way of keeping up with contacts. So I want to kind of go back to the beginning, and Kimball certainly touched on this as well. For me, my time management has to start with me getting very centered about what my goals are. And I have goals that I'm working on pretty much month to month, somewhat quarter to quarter, because Niken, after all, is doing a lot of quarterly incentives. So it's helpful to have a focus for, a quarter and then break it down per month. I do set goals then that are for the week. And then I have kind of a to-do list, my activities for each day. And I find when I have all of that written out, I'm much more, I'm functioning much more on task. But before I start every day, I start with a meditation. I start with really grounding myself, writing appreciation statements, and doing some sort of journaling. A lot of times it's my I am statements, and I'll talk about that in another module, actually. So once I'm really focused, then that gives me energy. That gives me, a sense of what I'm going to accomplish, and I get excited about that. So that really is important for me. And I have different focuses of how I'm working in my business. For me, it is certainly it's about driving customers, and certainly it's about looking for consultants. I'm also really focused right now on building my brand. And I think that's important to think about and to put time into that, because your brand is your personality. It's who you are personally. You know, we're all consultants. We don't consider ourselves being in competition with each other, because Lord knows there's plenty of business out there for all of us. And I think it's important, though, to distinguish yourself of what's unique about you. And so, I think that's kind of a fun way to explore. So the way to really build your brand out there from a social media place is, kind of a modern way of doing things. And to know, whatever message that you're communicating, you want to communicate it both offline. So for instance, like a networking meeting, and then online. So when you're posting in social media, I call myself a self-care activist. And I use the word activist because that means I'm wanting to get people to take action. That's the way I explain it. So I'm, certainly learning, and it's a learn as you go kind of a thing. But I do make sure that I spend time every day posting on social media. And, right now where we can't really do anything face to face, there's plenty of time for that. So I spend time, I have time blocks, and that's one of my strategies. I've always done something else. NECAN has been my full-time business focus for many, many years, but I've always had other things going on. I have little side gigs. I've been a massage therapist, as I said, for or maybe I didn't say, for 30 years. So I've done a little bit of massage or working as a doula. So the way for me to really focus my time is to have blocks of time that I'm working only on this particular focus. So if I'm doing social media, that's all I do. I make sure that I have a balance of off and online time that I'm spending. So I look at my calendar for the month, and I look at what networking events am I going to go to. Now, right now we're not going anywhere. However, I'm meeting, lots of groups via Zoom. So I'm still just as active, maybe even more active right now, not going physically in front of people. So I look at my whole calendar, and I make sure I have at least one activity each week that is networking. And it's usually two, because I have one group that I meet with every week. So usually one additional group that I meet on top of that. And then I look at other strategies that I think we all have to decide, what are our strategies for meeting new people? Because after all, connecting with new people is the lifeblood of growing our NECAN business. And so for me, one of those is speaking. So I think speaking is a great way. It might be considered the best way to draw attention. And speaking can be, standing on a stage. It can be speaking as a guest blog contributor, could be a guest on a podcast. It could be doing Facebook Lives, or recording a video like we are on Zoom and then posting it. So there's many different ways to be a speaker. And if that kind of freaks you out, I understand. I used to be knee knocking and handshaking. It takes practice like anything else. It's like if you want to build bicep muscles, you have to work those muscles. If you want to get good at speaking, you just have to practice until, and nobody wants you to be perfect, because nobody believes anybody that's so polished. So, let go of that. Give up that. The other thing I've done, I think pretty successfully, not everybody likes to do this, but I've made time to have a strategy of reaching a cold market, because that's a whole group of people that you don't know, you're not crossing paths with, especially if you choose to cold market in a different city than where you live. And so, I like to have these different strategies, and I give time to those on a daily or weekly or even monthly basis. So I think that takes some planning of how you go about where you're going to put your emphasis on time. And of course, there also has to be some time, if you're building a team, to support your team and to make time that you're going to do three-way calls. If you're helping someone reach a particular goal, then you want to make time for that as well. So all of those is like, let's look at the beginning of the month and let's figure out, what are the important pieces to having a successful month that's going to lead to having a successful quarter, and of course leads to having a successful year. Let me just talk a moment about a CRM. So there are many out there to choose, and you can simply Google CRM and look at a number of them and see which one speaks to you. The one that I have chosen is called Less Annoying. I kind of like the name of that, Less Annoying. I pay $10 a month, and it doesn't matter whether I have 5 contacts or 50,000 contacts, it's $10 a month. So I like that. And basically, I don't have that, I don't have the technology skills, I guess, to show you what it looks like. But it's kind of like what you saw with Mary and Kimball, in that there's a place to put contact information. There's a place to keep up with notes. And I particularly like that you can write a task. So when you meet someone, I'll make a notation of how I met them, whether it was a Facebook connection or I met them through a particular networking event or speaking or whatever it was. It could have been in the grocery store or Costco watching that they bought a ton of water, right? And then, so you put notes, and then maybe there's a follow-up date that you want to set up. And so I'll put a note of that. And that's, you put that notation in with tasks. And then every day you get an agenda. 7 days a week, you get an agenda. And so the things that you've set up as tasks for that day pop up. But I also like it because, I think we're all oftentimes very ambitious. And so I may have tasks that I haven't gotten to, and they're still out there for, days or even a week ago. They stay on your agenda. So until you take it off, it shows up every day. And I really do appreciate that gives me a focus of what I need to do in terms of follow-up, in terms of reaching people every day. So I think that's, pretty much the focus. I mean, some of the other strategies that I do that I didn't mention is I, in my online focus, is that I have a newsletter that goes out, an email, marketing campaign that goes out every week as well. And so again, those are all different strategies that you think about, and I'm happy to answer questions if someone wants to go any deeper with any of those topics. Thanks.